Dr. Michael Heinzelmeyer and Dr. David Warman on Save Your Practice, where we have brought in industry leaders to interview to give you tools and action steps to make yourself and your business thrive.
The most successful doctors run legitimate, ethical, honest practice authentically.
A lot of those people were still building a lifestyle, not necessarily a life.
The same thing that got you into the problem 99.9% of the time won't get you out of the problem.
Hey everybody, welcome to Save Your Practice, where we have brought in industry leaders to interview to give you tools and action steps to make yourself and your business thrive in uncertain times. I'm Dr. Michael Heinzelmeyer.
And I'm Dr. David Warman, and we are your hosts for today.
Awesome.
And today we have a special guest. We have Dr. Jason Deitch. Now, Dr. Jason Deitch lives in San Francisco Bay Area and is the founder of AmpLife.com and co-founder of the Smart Chiropractor, which is an automated content marketing for chiropractors. He's a best-selling author of Discover Wellness, How Staying Healthy Can Make You Rich. Dr. Jason has been passionate about sharing the chiropractic message for almost 3 decades now. He's one of the profession's most prominent thought leaders and communication strategists, working with an exclusive group of the chiropractic profession's largest and most prominent institutions, organizations, associations, vendors, and some of the most successful chiropractors. Dr. Jason, pleased to have you here. Is there anything else you want to add about yourself that we should know?
No, that sounds impressive. It's just been a lot of years of a lot of work and a lot of passion, but it's great to be here with you guys today. Not necessarily under these pandemic circumstances, but the joke has sort of been, if it takes a pandemic to make the changes we need to make, so be it. Here we are.
Absolutely. So what we want to start with, we want to talk about some leadership. Like with all the fear that's going around right now, how do you see business leaders like chiropractors stepping up and being leaders in the community right now?
It's a great question. I think we really have to practice what we preach. We have a philosophy that says there is a universal intelligence in all matter, continually giving to it all its properties and actions, thus maintaining it in existence. And if we believe that's true for other people, it may need to be true for us too. And I think in simple terms and simple language, what that means is that we have a philosophy that says we're all connected and things happen with intention, and we have an ability to influence how things occur because we are connected. We may not collectively as a profession have done as good of a job as we can, working together, organizing our thoughts, articulating our message, in as an effective way as is necessary to break through. But it may be during these pandemic times that we have to get back and sort of reevaluate our approach. So I think we have to practice what we preach. We have to be we call it calm zone in our communities. The reason we think we should be calm is because we have a philosophy that also understands herd immunity and innate immunity, and the fact that for centuries, millennia, nature has gone through its evolution, and we have an immune system inside of us, an innate immune system that has been guiding us and developing and will help us get through this too. We need to make sense of the madness and be great communicators to help steer people to not unrealistic optimism, but realistic optimism. What are the real reasons why we can and should be positive in these circumstances?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fair to say that we live in uncertain times, that what we're all going through right now is nothing that anybody has ever gone through. If you were to lay out a 90-day plan for chiropractors, starting today, what should they do for the next 90 days to, connect with their patients, build their practices? Where do you see that going?
I think, obviously let's acknowledge the spectrum. So you've got the spectrum from those docs that are completely closed, whether it's out of choice or mandate. And you've got those chiropractors that are business as usual. And in some cases, I've heard practices that are busier than they've been before. All of that is a testament to our past, outside of being mandated to close down. This is a stress test of sorts. This should be a mirror or a reflection of kind of what you've been teaching your practice, what you've, quote, been selling, what you've been teaching. How your community responds under these circumstances should at least give you something to learn. With that information, you can make better choices. But to get I'll say tactical and practical about the specifics. Whether you're closed, whether you're open, we believe there are really two fundamental things you need to be doing right now. The first thing is you need to be staying in touch with your base, whether you call it, the bedrock of your practice. It's the people that know, like, and trust you, that come consistently because they get you. They understand your message. They understand what you're all about, and they are in it, so to speak. Now is not the time to keep looking for, marketing for strangers, right? It is the time to really solidify your base, so to speak. And the way to do that is by staying in consistent communication and consistent contact with them through social, through email, through phone calls, through text. Now is the time to really think about not if, but when something like this happens again, right? If you were given warning that this would happen, what would you want to have in place? And I believe the answer is quick and easy and free ability to communicate with as many people as you possibly can consistently, so that you can do what we call TIC marketing communication, TIC, standing for teach and invite consistently. So if you start putting what I'm hopefully saying clearly together, you want to build an audience of people you can connect with on social, email, phone, text, regular mail, however you can communicate. There's a saying that says your net worth is equivalent to your net work. What that means is literally the number of people you can click a button and communicate with will be in direct proportion to the potential you have to earn a living. Which then takes us to the next part, the second part, right? If the first part is really building my audience, the second part is, well, if I'm closed, how do I generate any revenue? So what we've been teaching is that if it's not already abundantly obvious all over healthcare, overnight the concept of telehealth has hit the map. So now most chiropractors are saying to themselves, telehealth, I'm a chiropractor. How do you adjust over the internet? And the answer is you don't. However, the challenge, I think the leadership, the mindset that has to shift is, I've always believed, I believe you always believe, that we are teachers first, technicians second. In other words, the reason people come to you for your technical skill is because of your ability to teach them something. That may be quick pain relief, that may be lifestyle, it may be whatever you're teaching. Your job is to teach as many people as possible so that you can invite them to take a next step. That's the TIC formula. Teach and invite consistently over and over. So no, you don't do one Facebook Live or one webinar or one phenomenal event and go, see, I did it. It's in the consistency that you win, and so do they. So telehealth, we believe, is a really important part of what to do in these pandemic times specifically. And you really want to start thinking about this from both an offense and defense position. In other words, you may go, oh, I don't need to, I don't want to, I'm not into that. But I will tell you, from here on out, there will always be a new normal. We will never revert back to the way things were before. And when I say there's a new normal, the new normal is that people will forever expect to be able to connect and communicate with whoever their health professional is via telehealth first. So that's here to stay. It's only a matter of how long you resist creating some sort of opportunity for people to be able to work with chiropractors, with you, and with whatever you're doing in your practice, at least starting with telehealth.
So when we're talking about marketing and that your TIC approach, is there too often that you're doing it? Is there more mediums that are better than others? And in your opinion, would you say we should still advertise for telehealth for new patients? Or are you only thinking that we focus on our existing patient base? Because where's that give and take? And do you feel like maybe we should be doing both?
A lot of great questions. I'll try to answer all of them within that. Our philosophy basically is this. We believe that your next best patient is a current patient, patient, member, client, whatever term you want to refer to them as. The next best client is keeping an existing client. Okay. I know that sounds like duh, but it's not. We are so addicted culturally as a profession to needing more new patients that we forget to serve the ones we have. We're so focused on needing new ones in the door that we don't serve the people that have already demonstrated that they know, like, and trust us. I've already said, I trust you, I like you, I want what you have to offer. The second next best new patient is a family member, friend, neighbor, or coworker of the person that already knows, likes, and trusts you. So there is a very organic approach to being able to really teach, and I don't believe you can over-teach necessarily. You can over-market. That's a different conversation if you want to go there, but I don't think you can over-teach. Those, to me, there are very distinct distinctions between those things. So if you pour your heart and your mind into both teaching people what they need to know about living a healthier lifestyle, and this is where the nuances matter. I did not say that you educate them about chiropractic constantly. I said that you're focused on teaching people what they need to know to live a healthier, better life, whether that's to age gracefully, whether that's to reduce the risk of sports injuries, whether that's to have whatever specialty, if it's pregnancy or children, whatever your specialty is, fill in the blank. But teaching people about how they can do a better job taking care of themselves is a different education than let me focus on teaching you about what I sell. There are nuances. It's not one or the other, but people are pretty much not interested in being educated about much of anything, including chiropractors and chiropractic students. But we're all interested in what we can do to improve our lives, our income, reduce our risk of injury, of failure, of all of the problems most of us, I guess, are vulnerable to. So if we go in it with the right intention, if we have a strategy, which is an important part of what you're asking here, is that the idea is not to wake up every day and go, what do I feel like talking about today? But in fact, having a structure, maybe even I'll call it a curriculum, that people can start learning to learn from you. Realizing that, again, you're not just a transactional technician, which is the way, I'm going to say, unfortunately, most chiropractors tend to behave in their practices. They're marketing, which usually means advertising, which usually means deep discounts for what they typically want, which is quick relief as quickly as possible, which oftentimes is very different than what many chiropractors would say they really do. So I believe there's something to be congruent, being aligned, perhaps call it integrity, in really effectively communicating what you really do to the right audience consistently. And again, the nuances are where people, I think, trip and fall down, stumble, and then don't get results. It's not just teach, it is teach and invite. And the invite part is an important part because there's very few people that understand chiropractic or understand what you do in your practice first go. Right. Even chiropractors, even staff, even spouses don't go, I heard you once, I understand. So there is a process to this whole thing. People have to think about it, digest it, try it with other people and get questions and go, that's a good question. Let me go ask my chiropractor again. So what we really teach at the Smart Chiropractor is to think of yourself as a teacher first. And what that means is our model, which I'm happy to share with everybody, is that you should have a monthly topic with weekly news that supports that monthly topic, and then daily posts that support the weekly news of the monthly topic. So that when people learn from you, as opposed to what we would call success currently, hey, Dave, I went to your webinar in this case, or your workshop. That was awesome. I really learned a lot. Thank you, Doc. That was really interesting. That's not what you want people to say at the end of it. What you want to evoke from people is, that was awesome. I'm so glad I come to see you regularly. You keep reinforcing that I'm making the right decision in seeing you. And by the way, am I able to bring my friends and family to learn from you next month when I look forward to learning, fill in the blank here. If you think of yourself as an educator, inspirer first, and I'll probably reverse that, an inspirer first, educator second, because if you think about it for just a moment, most people have plenty of information about what they should be doing. There's probably nobody that speaks English that you're going to connect with that doesn't know that they should be exercising more, that doesn't know, they're educated about the foods they should be eating more of and or less of, the sleep they should be getting more of and not less of, and they don't even do the obvious. So pouring more information into a mindset that either has a low self-esteem or a misunderstanding or misdefinition of what health is, function versus feeling, right? Pouring more information at people is not the same thing as really creating a community and culture of learning and growing so that people can live. I think the language of live your innate potential makes perfect sense in today's world. But of course, every practice is different. They've got their different versions of what they think is most important. The goal should be, in simple terms, that's awesome. You're validating my choice in choosing you as my doctor. I can't wait to learn more from you next month, next week. And by the way, can I bring more people to learn from you? Because there's nobody around here that's teaching the kind of stuff you're teaching. That, to me, I think, is our formula for future success. And I think it makes practices and our profession less vulnerable to the carnage I hear is going on out collectively in the profession as we speak right now.
I mean, that's spot on. I love the whole education and teaching component of that. You know, I'm listening to you talk and I'm thinking about some of our audience, and it's like, well, this strategy is really great. What are some content hacks you have? Where do people come up with this? Because, you know, they're sitting there like, well, that's great, but where do I come up with all this content to be able to put into this system you're talking about?
Yeah. So I'm going to answer your question this way, and it's the perfect question exactly. Right now, I will teach you what you can do. And of course, I'm at the very end of this going to let you know how you can get almost all of it done for you. So full disclosure, I'm going to teach you what to do. And you're going to go, well, that's insane. What chiropractor could possibly do all of that? And I would say, you're right. Most chiropractic practices do not have the time, energy, talent, and resources to really do what's really necessary. So we'll let you know where you find all that. But here's what you want to pull out pen and paper or type as we're going and so on if you're watching this at home right now. There's a strategy to all of this. So I'm going to lay out some dots and then we'll connect the dots together. So number one, you've got to get your message straight, right? What is it that is really most important to you as a doctor to teach your community? Remembering, doctor means teacher. What is it that you really want them to know? Now, you may come up with a long laundry list of different things you'd like them to know, but then you've got to take your list of things that you want them to know and filter it through step 2, which is which of those things, A, do I most love to teach? That's an important part of this. B, is most valuable to the people that I'm teaching that I like to teach? Because you may love to talk about chiropractic, but your audience may not really care about that. So how do you translate your agenda into their agenda? That's a second thing. And then the third thing, just to take off your altruistic hat and put on your business hat, is to think, okay, now of those 2 filters, now what's the most valuable thing to them that I can be teaching them? We've got to get our why together first before we start getting into the what we're doing and how we're doing it. So there's no one answer for everyone in terms of why you do what you do. We know there's a spectrum of chiropractors from, you know, the mechanistic, quick pain relief treaters. That's fine if that's your thing. And then there's lifestyle and lifetime care on the other end of the spectrum. And then there's everybody in between. So look in the mirror, do your soul searching, figure out what's most important to you, what's most important to them, and what will earn you the most amount of money, easiest and fastest. You put all of that together sort of in a blender to come out with, this is what I'm going to focus on. Once you know what that is, then you have a better understanding of what I'm teaching, which brings us then into, okay, where should I be inviting them? Okay, and this is there's an interplay here. I guess you can sort of make the metaphor that it's kind of like dating, like it's building a new relationship. And in most cases, most of the time, the way the chiropractic profession tends to work historically, generally speaking, and being one, I'm going to say, I think I'll take the liberty of being able to be self-critical among us. And that is, most of us approach relationships by basically metaphorically saying, hey, I like getting it on. You like getting it on? Why don't we go back to my place and get it on? And although that works once in a while, it's not what I would recommend as a strategy most of the time. Typically, there's a let's get to know each other first type of a process. And so that's really my, I'll say, recommendation for us culturally in practices is let's get into getting to know each other. And I mean that both ways. All people should not have access to your practice if they don't really know what they're there for, or if what they're there for is not aligned with what you want them to be there for. And that's why a lot of chiropractors get burnt out, get frustrated, and are always just looking for the new shiny object because it's not really authentic to who they really are. And they forget that part of it, and they don't have to. So one, get your message straight. Now, all of the different places to do what we're talking about, you got to get really good at social media. I'll get into that in a moment. You got to get really good at email. We'll get into that as well. You've got to get really good at understanding how to use both the phone and text in today's world. Too many of our people in our profession and staff are living in, I'll say, previous generation technology. Phone calls are wonderful, but every marketing program we've put into place that we've watched our clients use, and in some cases have tested and so on, typically gets hung up in the phone call stage. They call you, you're closed, or you're busy. They leave a voicemail. You try to call them back. They're with their kids or in a meeting, or they're driving. They can't take your call. So then and you get into this voicemail thing, and there's so much waste. There's so much that never gets connected. So when do you use text messaging? When do you use email? When do you use, Facebook and so on? Those are all questions that have to be answered. But there is a way to sort of weave a strategy of these different technologies. If you want, I'll break down a few of them to get into more detail if that makes some sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Social media should be the place you're building your audience. You're sort of, as Patrick Gentempo just released his book, Your Stand is Your Brand. That's the place to make your stand. It's also the place, and I'm going to really teach something that is very unique here that people like, oh, Facebook, that must mean advertising.
Right.
Because somewhere I heard that you can't really reach your audience unless you pay Facebook to reach your audience. And if I'm going to pay Facebook to reach my audience, then I better get a good ROI. And all of a sudden, your marketing ROI mindset has completely distorted what you'd really like to teach. Because now you got to measure your results. And if you're going to measure your results, you're not measuring your results over months and years. You're measuring it over hours and days. Because why would you spend the money if you're not going to get something in return, is what I'll call the marketing mindset. We're not against advertising. We don't think it's a bad thing. It's not categorically don't ever do it. It's if you're going to do it so that it costs the least and gets the most by being as targeted as possible. And typically what we're finding, even from ad agencies we talk to, work with, and who are friends of ours, is that the absolute best advertising you can do is by retargeting those people that are consuming your content. And your content is not your discount. Your content is your message. It's that first part of what you're teaching. The more you teach, the bigger your audience, the more effective your retargeting ads will be. Doing organic content, sharing your truth, sharing what's real for you and relevant to your audience will make your paid advertising work that much better. That's the way Facebook really works. So the question becomes, how do I build my organic audience so that if I do want to put money behind it, and it's not a requirement because you can reach your entire audience organically for free if you follow the following step. When you post, you need a posting strategy. This is not a wake up, oh, I haven't posted in a while. Let me put 10 articles up so I can take care of the week I lost and maybe make up for the week this week. It doesn't work that way. You should be thinking about what you're posting daily. And when I say you should be thinking about it, I don't mean you should be thinking about it daily. I mean, you should have a strategy in place so that good stuff is being posted either for you, with you, or by you every single day throughout the day. Now, some people go, well, that's got to be way too much. My answer is, if you think you're posting advertisements the whole time, it is way too much. But if you're authentically inspiring people, if you're connecting with people, if you're just touching them with encouragement and inspiration, we call it a daily dose of inspiration, because there's nobody who can tell me that more people don't need to be more inspired in today's world, especially. My question is, shouldn't it be you that's inspiring as many people in your community as possible? I think the answer to that is yes, every day of the week. Now, let's now take that relationship metaphor. If you wanted to meet someone, right? If you wanted to say, if you were interested in having a longer term relationship and getting to know someone more intimately, the most likely thing you would do is to say, hey, Mike, can I buy you a drink? It's a gesture. I'm not saying, are you thirsty? Do you need hydration? I'm saying, here is a gesture that allows us some time to get to know each other, okay? So the gesture, in my opinion, on social is by inviting people to wake up to a daily dose of inspiration. It's an easy yes, right? I'm not saying you want to invite people to become educated about chiropractic. I'm not saying you invite people to basically say, hey, you want to head back to my place, right? You're saying, let's get to know each other. Let me get to know more about you as a person, and maybe if you're interested, you can get to know me a little bit better. The key to this sort of process right here is to give people the ability to want to be more curious about you. And I say it specifically that way because we have a tendency to just want to vomit all over people our truth. Like, let me just make sure that I tell you as much about me during this drink as I can, because I may not get a second drink opportunity to make sure you know everything I want to tell you. Now, I'm going to suggest, unless you're Brad Pitt, and it doesn't matter what you say, you're probably not getting very far with that kind of relationship, with that kind of attitude. What you probably want to do is first be a little bit more interested in them. You probably want to share some things that would maybe stimulate a bit of curiosity. And that doesn't have to be, here's what chiropractic is. It can be, did you ever want to know what you can do to help yourself without having to live on drugs? Do you ever want to know, one of my favorite questions these days as far as specific languaging is asking people if they eat organic food. You know, yeah, when I can. Why do you do that? Well, because it doesn't have any drugs and doesn't have any chemicals, doesn't have any pesticides. Oh, yeah, you know, when that stuff gets in your food, it's what? Not good for us. Well, if you like organic food, you're going to love organic healthcare. What's organic healthcare? It's the exact kind of healthcare people who eat organic foods have. No drugs, no pesticides, no chemicals. So there's ways to teach in interesting ways, as opposed to, forgive me for just being blunt with all of us, I'm going to call it the lazy approach. Hi, what do you do? I'm a chiropractor. What do you do? I do chiropractic. I provide chiropractic adjustments. Well, where do you do that? In my chiropractic office on my chiropractic table, and you can pay your chiropractic bill. We just can't seem to get a sentence out without making sure the C word is included. And I'm not in any way insinuating you should hide it. I am saying that doesn't have to be in every single sentence in a conversation on social and everywhere else. So it is a matter of putting out your message. It's a matter of inviting people to wake up to a daily dose of inspiration. And here's the, I'm going to call it magical marketing tip that's really important to take what I'm saying and make it work. There's a very specific feature that Facebook has that next to the like button, right? You've been all taught, try to get people to like your Facebook page, L-I-K-E, like your Facebook page. Then the argument is, well, I may have 1,000 people that like it, but only 1 to 5% of the people are actually receiving my posts organically. And that's true. However, If you can take one extra step, if you can put an ounce more effort and a touch more strategy into your approach, what you want to do is invite people to like, follow, and choose see first when they take that action. We'll show you there's ways in which when you go through our trainings and so on, that next to the like button, there's a drop-down menu. On desktop, it says follow. On mobile, it's a little upside down type of icon arrow with a drop-down menu. If you click follow and see the drop-down menu, you will be given the ability to choose see first. That is a $1 million marketing idea, and here's why. When you can inspire people to willingly want to choose like, follow, and see first, that's what we call a social opt-in. It is the equivalent of an email opt-in for your Facebook page. And what it means is that 100% of the people that take those 3 steps, all free, 100% of those people will receive 100% of your future Facebook posts 100% of the time. And here's what I love about it. For free, at the top of their news feed first every time they open up the Facebook app from there on in the future. So you are earning the ability for people to want to see your information first in their Facebook news feed every time they open up the app. It's one of the most powerful and misunderstood, unused parts of the technology that offsets the need to have to pay for eyeballs and a following. The limitations to advertising is once you stop paying, it stops working. So we can go into however you want to go from here. Social is the main part. You invite people to a daily dose of inspiration. The way they make sure they receive that daily dose of inspiration. You can feel the energy and spirit behind, not so you can get all of my messages, but so you can get all of the inspiration you want. That's the difference, and that's the shift in language. In order for you to get what you want, you've got to click like, follow, and see first. All of our materials visually include those instructions because people are going, well, how do they know? And all of the materials include the visual instructions on like, follow, and see first. So you've earned the ability. This is the gesture. Would you like to get a drink? Sure. Coffee, tea, whatever your drug of choice is. You give the ability to get to know each other. Then it's step 2. Hey, what do you talk about? Well, if you're in the dating scenario, you're talking about things that they are interested in if you want to be self-aware and effective, right? If you want to do the habit, then you talk about yourself every day, all day, and probably wonder why you don't get more dates. If you want more dates, this may help people on multiple levels. So hopefully, if you want more dates, then talk about the things that they are interested in and share with them, give them the ability to get to know, like, and trust you. As you do that, then you're inviting them to join you on email. Now you've got a second way of staying in touch with them so you can get them on social and email. Then you invite them to Facebook Lives, you invite them to webinars, you invite them to in-office if and when you get back to doing those things, workshops and so on. You can invite them, and this is where we get into, you can invite them to a telehealth appointment. You can invite them to watch a pre-recorded webinar. You can watch them to join you on your Facebook Live tomorrow at this particular time. There's an endless number of possibilities once you understand the psychology and sequencing as to how to put these things all together. Does that make some sense?
Wow, that was gold right there. That was, $1 million ideas right off the bat. And I love the approach of not creating a one-night stand. Like, and I think a lot of marketing is the one-night stand per se. It's like you entice them to come and you try to get something out of it, and then they ghost. And this is a relationship builder. Now, the thing is, most chiropractors have done tons of screenings, tons of talks, tons of paid Facebook advertising, and we got all these leads that we do nothing with. Now, would the smart chiropractor approach be good to filter the people that were once interested in you but just didn't commit yet? Would that be something you could use this program for?
It's 100% right. I appreciate you asking, and that's exactly right. So if you have an email, even if you got nothing, it's going to work. If you've got leads from the past that you're like, what do I do with this? Because all they were trying to do was get you an ROI today. Yeah, this is an amazing thing to do because again, the gesture is, hey, Dave, you like to be inspired every day? You know, could you use a little more inspiration in your life? If they say no, I'm going to go on the limb that they're probably not your ideal client. I'm just thinking, you know, no, not interested. You know, all those stupid things that people say at spinal screenings, you know, my spine's too bad. I'm way too far gone, you know, not your ideal client, right? You want somebody to go inspired. Yeah. Nobody in healthcare is inspiring me. Everybody's freaking me out. You know, I mean, you're a standout if you actually reach out and help people and meet them where they are, which today means, would you give me some hope in all of this? Would you just help me? Are we really doomed? I mean, even chiropractors are throwing away their philosophy going, we're screwed. You know, the sky is falling. Now, nobody's minimizing the damage here. I mean, whether it's economic damage, whether it's, you know, health damage and death. I mean, there's something real out there, and nobody actually can define what that something is exactly. I'm not about to, you're not about to either. What I do know is everybody could use a little bit more bright side. So let's give people something to look forward to. Let's be, I've heard it said, hope dealers. Let's be a source of inspiration in our community first. Let's be a beacon of light. Let's be a voice of reason. Let's not be known because, you know, you've got such great adjustments. Let's be known because you're the most caring, generous, rational, inspiring person in the community that actually has a pathway to something positive in the future, because I'm challenging you to know that there's not many out there that are doing that, especially under the banner of healthcare. So the idea of re-engaging with people, we've got people following our phone scripts, getting on the phones. Hey, checking in with you, human to human, empathetic connection. And then we've got the scripting of what to say to invite them to take a next step. Hey, by the way, we're offering telehealth. By the way, we're creating a place on Facebook that is trying to inspire as many people here locally as we can. We're doing daily trainings, right? So the joke is everybody's bragging about how they're binge watching Netflix, or they're gonna go get an online education or learn an instrument or some new skill. What are they saying? They're saying, I'm gonna sit on my ass in front of my computer or my screen and absorb a bunch of information that's gonna hopefully be valuable and make me a better human being by the end of this. Shouldn't they be binge watching you?
Right.
So that's how all of these dominoes sort of fit into place. It is a series of dominoes more than a look at my domino. It is a sequence of events that takes place. It's strategic, it's smart, and it works if you work it. So yes, if you've got tons of leads in the past, if you've got an email list, if you've got, you know, if you can text people legally because you've got their consent, if you've built your audience on Facebook. Unfortunately, David, I've seen too many people, you know, just not understand the value of relationship. And they're just like, you don't want to buy? Okay, how about you? You want to buy? How about you? You want to buy? You know, it's like a desperate bar at 2 a.m. when it's last call. You know, you're just looking for someone.
You got the beer goggles on. Yeah.
Exactly, you got it.
So Jason, I want to switch things up here and twist them up a little bit on you. So the strategies and principles around business, this is save your practice, save your business. If I take you out of the situation right now, I'm going to plunk you down on Grand Cayman Island and you own a scuba diving business and it's failing right now. What are 3 steps you're going to do to come out of this right now?
I'm going to reach back out to any of my old clients. Hopefully they're not all visitors from another country and not traveling. I'd like to think that I was strategic enough to build my locals business during the off season or downtime when the tourists, you know, aren't there. I would reach out to those people that have already worked with me, because it's not a sell, it's an invitation. They already like scuba diving. They already like me. They've already know my rates. They know it's safe. They're still alive, right? So what can you do to re-engage them, either into going scuba diving or to help guide them into the best scuba equipment they should have, or to help them understand the new technology and new trends coming up, or to help review their scuba equipment now and make sure what they have is safe. My point being, that everything doesn't have to fit into the same old package. You want to get adjustment? No? Okay. You want to get adjustment? No? Okay. So I'll just give you an example in the Chiro, I'll bring it back here. When it comes to telehealth, people are like, how do I provide an adjustment? You can provide people organic health solutions via telehealth. You can offer them ergonomic assessments. There's more home offices being set up today than ever in history. People need, at the very least, there's millions of seniors that don't have anybody to check in with them while they're sheltering at home. Just checking in with people has value to people. We take it for granted, but there is value in that. So I would take that same psychology and bring it to Grand Caymans, and I'd put on my suntan lotion, maybe take a little bit of time and enjoy. But if you got to do what you got to do. So I would reach out to my existing people, and then I would second from there, I would reach out to their family and friends and people they know. Hey, let me help you. And by the way, who do you know that is also interested in scuba, that is also interested in learning more, becoming better, making sure it's safe, etc. And I would do it consistently, teach and invite consistently. So whatever I did today, that everybody's like, if it's not a grand slam, it doesn't work, right? If I can't reach 1 million people, then it's not effective. You're dealing with things like Facebook, which is free. All it costs you is your time and your creativity. If I can do something that teaches one person, 2 people, 3 people, the idea is not, oh my God, they're throttling me back. I'm supposed to reach 100, it's only 3. No, what can you do? What could you do if for free you could connect with 3 people together as a group and invite them to take a next step? It's the psychology that is first and foremost our #1 asset or our #1 problem. As Tony Robbins will always say, it's usually not a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. And that's really what this is all about here. If you think about it for just a moment, if you've got one of these, and all of you do, if you're watching here in some way, a computer, if you've got a connection to the internet, you literally have the ability, you've got the power to communicate your message to an unlimited number of people globally and targeted for free. There's never been a power tool for individual people like us. You don't have to own a cable station. You don't have to own a cable network. You've got all the tools you need in your hand, in your pocket, on your desk to make things happen. We just got to get creative, stop being lazy. Yes, it takes effort. Yes, it takes energy. But that's really, then we start talking about the smart chiropractor is, sure, all the ideas are free, go for it, but you'd be insane. I have a team, I pay tens of thousands of dollars every month to build the first program for one office. There's no individual office that would rationally do that for themselves unless they were their own chain of dozens of offices. So we just say, listen, why don't we make the investment in the world's best content and content distribution? It costs a fortune to make it for the first one, but if we can get 500, 1,000, 5,000 people consistently, think about the accumulative collateral benefit to that. Practices then can focus. We like to think that we do 90 to 95% of the work for people. If they put in 5% of the effort, right? If you think of yourself as a rock star, you could be a rock star and just go out and play your music and hope you can generate an audience. Or you could work with a concert promoter who knows exactly how to build an audience and how to put you in the right light and right staging and all the tools it takes, so that when the time is right, you get on stage, you got lots of people screaming and ready for your message. That's what we think of ourselves as doing. And I guess the fun part about it, if you think about it, and if our profession sort of gets with the times, so to speak, is imagine if we finally had the power of 500, 1,000, 5,000 chiropractors consistently teaching and inviting people to see beautifully designed material, because design matters, ask Apple, that is research-based. So you're not getting people to go, are you crazy? I thought you crazy chiropractors were crazy, but now I know you are. You can do it in a really smart, strategic, coordinated approach that doesn't have to cost a fortune of time and money, so that when you want to play rock star, you've got a crowded audience that's all warmed up, ready, interested, and willing to listen to what you have to share with them. That's what I would do if I were there. It's what I'm doing here. I'm in my home like anywhere else. Could be anywhere USA. That's what we're doing.
Well, this has been a lot of wealth of knowledge, and this is great. And we truly appreciate you having and being on board and helping us people save their practice. We will embed the links to reach you down below for our audience here. And think about it, if you just do a couple of the action steps that Dr. Jason showed you, you're going to move up the chain. The thing is, I know most chiropractors are lazy, you might as well have it automated for you. But we appreciate your time. This was great.
Thank you very much, Jason. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys too. Save your practice, take action. My heart is with you during this time, but help is here too. Reach out and ask for it.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Save Your Practice. Share this with other healthcare professionals that you feel need to elevate their practice. Don't forget to give us a review on iTunes and subscribe today. SaveYourPractice.com for amazing content, tips, and tricks for healthcare professionals just like you. Head on over to SaveYourPractice.com now.